increased coverage and a shift of that coverage from other sections of the newspaper to the sports section, similar to what we found with research on women in sport 25 years ago. Research continues to reveal a lack of quantity and quality in both the written and photographs in print media, written text and photographs in print media. Research also shows gender bias, multiple discrimination for women with disabilities, privilege to wheelchair athletes, and a focus on nationalism, where greatest attention was focused on the coverage of their own athletes. Our research takes into consideration the previous research categories, but also has a single focus on newspaper photographs. Since my dissertation research on intercollegiate athletic media guides, which Nicole mentioned earlier, guided by sport media scholar, our own Dr. Mary Jo Kane, and pressures within, no, sorry. I have continued to be, I better delete that. I have continued to be interested in the power of the photograph to draw attention to the reader and the meaning of the cultural narratives associated with those images. So the focus for this study has been a content analysis of photographs, replication of previous work, and adding to the literature by increasing the cross-cultural analysis with 5 countries from 4 continents, and including some additional categories. So I want to talk just briefly about the newspapers that were selected, and these are the same ones for that we selected for the Olympic research, based on several factors. But the China Daily and Shanghai Daily are the 2 from China, USA Today, LA Times, Washington Post, and the Star Tribune from the US, Die Burger and The Citizen from South Africa, Il Giornale and Corriere della Sera from Italy, and from New Zealand we have the New Zealand Herald and the Press. Part of the rationale for choosing those papers was based on circulation. Some of it was based on the countries that the researchers are from, New Zealand and the US, and some of it was based on whether or not we could interpret the information that goes with the photograph. So I don't speak all of the languages, but we had people that would be able to translate for us. So that's the rationale for those newspapers. And in the results, I can factor out 2 of the US newspapers, USA Today and the Star Tribune, to make the focus equal among all countries. But the reality is that the data suggests I just leave them there, and you'll see what I mean. With all research, there are limitations, and this research has its limitations as well. In terms of content analyses, our interpretations may not be the same as your interpretations of the data. So that is one of the effects of this type of research. We also, both of us, lack a certain perspective because we are not officially recognized as people with disabilities. So the purpose of this research was to examine photographs from the 2008 Paralympic Games to determine how often and how seriously the Paralympic athletes are presented. We did this by looking at several categories of analyses, but I will only focus on a few of those today. One is the amount of coverage, frequency of photographs. You know from previous research that 2 important themes are present: the amount of research and also the type of coverage when it is presented. So were there gender and cross-cultural differences in the number of photographs? Were there sport type differences? How often were the athletes portrayed in uniform, on the court, and in action? Were there gender differences in the portrayals of uniform, court, and pose? What was the overall theme of the photograph? And were there any gender and cross-cultural differences in the thematic presentation of these photographs?